It was a cold, foggy night, and I had gone into the woods to check on a friend's cabin. The trees were thick, their branches scraping together in the wind, sounding almost like whispers. I had my flashlight, but the beam barely cut through the darkness. Every step I took on the crunchy leaves made my heart beat faster. At first, everything was quiet. Too quiet. Even the usual sounds of owls or rustling animals had stopped. It felt like the forest was holding its breath. I reached a small clearing and froze. In the middle, there was a circle of stones, like someone had made a fire pit, but it was cold and old. And in the center, a figure. It was hunched over, wrapped in a tattered cloak that blended with the shadows. I couldn't see its face, but I felt its eyes on me. My flashlight flickered. When it came back, the figure was gone. I stepped forward slowly, telling myself it had to be a trick of the fog. But then I heard something, soft footsteps. Crunch, 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 exactly matching mine. I spun around. Nothing. I moved faster, my flashlight sweeping over the trees, but the shadows seemed to shift. Every time I stopped, the footsteps stopped. Every time I moved, they started again, keeping pace with me. Then came the whisper. You shouldn't be here. It wasn't loud. It wasn't far away. It was all around me, like the trees themselves were speaking. My heart was pounding, and my legs felt like lead. I told myself to keep moving, to get to the cabin. But the fog thickened, and the trees seemed to close in. I could feel something watching me from the darkness, just beyond the flashlight's reach. And then, I heard it. A low, dragging sound. Something moving closer. Something that didn't walk like a human. My breath came in short, sharp gasps. The dragging sound was getting closer, crunching over leaves and snapping twigs in a slow, deliberate rhythm. I swung my flashlight wildly, but the beam just caught glimpses of shadows moving in the fog. I tried to run, but every step felt heavier, like the forest itself was holding me back. Then I heard it clearly, right behind me, a low, guttural whisper. Why are you running? I froze. My flashlight flickered, and in that split second, I saw it. A tall, thin figure, hunched over, moving strangely, almost like it was sliding over the ground instead of walking. Its face was hidden in the cloak, but I could feel its eyes piercing through the darkness. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out. I turned and ran toward the cabin, heart hammering in my chest. Branches scratched my arms and legs, and the fog made it impossible to see more than a few feet ahead. But every few steps, I could hear the dragging sound keeping pace with me, just behind, following me no matter how fast I ran. The clearing came into view. The cabin. Its windows were dark, but I could see the faint outline of the door. I reached it and tried the handle. Locked. Then the whispers started again, louder, circling around me. You can't leave, you can't hide. I stumbled backward, trying to see where the figure had gone, but it wasn't in the clearing anymore. Yet I could feel it. The presence, moving closer, silent but watching. I fumbled with my keys, trying to open the cabin, but the dragging sound was closer now, just at the edge of the clearing, slow, deliberate, waiting for me to make a mistake. I took a step back. My flashlight beam shook as I raised it, and in the corner of the fog, I saw another movement. Something crouched low, fast, sliding between the trees, circling me, staying just out of reach. I swallowed hard, my hands trembling. Every instinct screamed to run, but the forest felt endless. And I knew I wasn't alone. I was trapped in the clearing, the dragging sounds circling closer, the whispers echoing between the trees. My flashlight shook in my hands, casting long, distorted shadows across the fog. Every instinct screamed to run, but the forest felt endless, and I knew I wasn't alone. Then I saw movement in the trees. Something crouched low, sliding between the trunks, fast but silent. My heart jumped. I took a step back, and the whispers rose, soft at first, then louder, almost forming words. You can't leave, we're waiting. I spun around, trying to find a path back to the road, but the fog had thickened. The trees seemed to close in, branches reaching like hands. Every time I turned, I felt eyes on me. Not just one pair, dozens. They shifted with the shadows, circling, staying just out of the flashlight's reach. A twig snapped to my left. I froze. My flashlight beam caught something moving, a figure hunched and thin, gliding across the snow-covered forest floor. Its face was hidden in a tattered hood, but I could feel it staring straight at me. I swallowed hard and ran, stumbling over roots and rocks, branches scratching my arms. The whispers followed, carried by the wind, close enough that I could feel them brushing my ears. "Why are you running? Come stay." The clearing seemed to stretch endlessly. The cabin I had hoped for was nowhere in sight. Every step I took, I could hear the dragging sound behind me, slow and deliberate, keeping perfect pace. Then I saw a faint light far ahead. My heart leapt. Maybe someone was there. Maybe I could finally find safety. But as I ran toward it, the shadows moved faster, emerging from the trees surrounding me. I knew then, with a cold certainty, that the forest wasn't just alive, it was hunting me. And whatever waited in the fog, it was patient. I ran toward the faint light, my lungs burning, my legs trembling. The dragging sounds followed, slow and deliberate, keeping pace with me no matter how fast I moved. The whispers swirled through the trees. "You can't leave, come stay." Finally, I reached the edge of the clearing and saw the cabin. Its door was slightly open, and a warm light spilled out, cutting through the fog. I stumbled inside, slamming it behind me, locking it with trembling hands. For a moment, everything was silent. The forest outside seemed frozen, holding its breath. I sank to the floor, shivering, flashlight still in hand. The dragging sounds and whispers had stopped, or so I thought. That's when I noticed them. Long, thin scratches on the wooden floor, trailing from the doorway toward the far wall, like fingers had reached inside. My heart froze. The air felt heavier, colder, as if something had stepped just inside the cabin with me. I backed into a corner, trying to convince myself it was just my imagination. But then the whisper came again, soft, raspy, right in my ear. "We've been waiting." I didn't move, didn't breathe, just sat there listening as the wind howled outside. Every shadow in the cabin stretched and twisted, making me feel like the forest itself had entered with those figures. I stayed there all night, eyes wide, praying for daylight. When the first rays of the sun finally filtered through the frosted windows, the forest outside looked calm, peaceful even. But the marks on the floor didn't fade. The memory of the dragging sounds, the whispers, and those dark, gliding figures stayed with me. I left the cabin that morning, vowing never to return. But sometimes, when the wind whistles through the trees near my house, I swear I can hear it again. The dragging steps, the circling shadows, the low, raspy voices reminding me they're still out there. And I know they never forget.